Blue and orange make mud. Red and green make mud. But we want to use those in our acrylic pour. So how do you layer those type of paints that are complementary, in order to not get brown, muddy colors? Well, I'm going to explain to you how to do it in this video. However, if you just want the answer, you thicken your paint, or you use a neutral color in between the two colors to keep them separated. That's the easy answer. Now, it's a bit more nuanced than that, and I want to actually show you how I mix purple and yellow together, do a thin version, a medium version, a thick version, and a version with white and black in between the layers, and show you how much different an acrylic pour can be. And the first thing we need to do is get our paints to the right consistency. For those that are wondering, the paints that I'm using are the Essentials that I bought at Walmart, and then the Ivory Black from Liquitex. They are marked 1 part paint to 2 parts of white glue from Craft Smart, and then added water to get the right consistency. So I've mixed all my paints, and I just want to show you the consistency. I'll probably have to adjust a few, but these are my too thin, too thick, my regular size paints, and we're just gonna, because I'm using such little amounts of paint in each of these, it's a little harder to get the right consistency. So obviously all of these ones need a little bit extra, and these ones definitely need a little bit of extra. Maybe the yellow needs a tiny bit also. So we'll get back to that and come back. So let's try the next batch now. Perfect. We got thin, thick, medium. I might add a tiny bit more water to those two. So as I mentioned before, some of the best ways to keep complementary colors from turning into brown or gray is to either thicken up your paint, keep thicker paint, this is the super thin paint, or add a layer of a neutral paint in between so they don't get to mix as much. So we're just going to pour all of these on the same canvas. We're going to start thickest to thinnest, because this one's just going to run so much. Pull these off here. I'm just going to do a straight pour. This is the regular, also a straight pour. And then our width, let's go this way, sorry. Then our thin. So now we're just going to let these sit for a second and come back. All right, so I let these sit for a minute and gave them a little bit of a torch. You can see the little dots that came up everywhere just because I mixed all these paints just in the last few minutes. So there's going to be more dots. But what jumps out at you immediately? Look how much more bright and purpley this is. This was the white and black layers in between the colors. Especially white just makes your colors really pop, and that's why a lot of acrylic pour artists use white in their pours, and it kept this from really mixing too much. I got a little bit of green mixing into here because of the black and the yellow mixing, and a little bit of orange here because of the white and the pink, and then a little bit of yellow behind, so it kind of turns an orangey brown color. But overall, so much brighter to do it this way. This is the thin paint. It's almost all mixed in all that muddy orange color. So because it's so thin and it mixes so much as you pour, that's essentially what happens when you use complementary colors. Then we go to our medium. Medium, especially in the center here, looks so much better. You have lots of definition of color here, but where the paint came out quickly at the beginning of our pouring, you get much more, kind of like the thin, much more of the paint mixing and kind of turning their brown or orange in this case color. And then with a thick, much less, you almost got none of that muddy brown stuff, but you have a little bit of the orange brown, but you have much better definition here. It just looks so much better, although obviously it won't move as quickly as the rest of the paint just because that paint's so thick. So there you go. If you want to put complementary colors together, you're better off putting a neutral color in between or a color that works with both in between, or thickening up your paints so you don't get this nasty muddy color. Especially with craft paints, it's really hard not to get them really thin, and they're more wont to do this because they have less pigments and they're a little bit thinner, so they want to make mud even better. Overall, love adding a little bit of white and black in between my paints just to make them jump out at you. And if you're still having trouble picking colors or getting mud in your pour, you really need to watch this video.